Emiten batu bara milik Taipan Lo Takwong, PT Bayan Resources Tbk, mencatatkan laba bersih melonjak hingga 188% pada semester 1 tahun 2022. Lantas bagaimana kinerja PT Bayan Resources Tbk dan apa saja tantangan yang dihadapi serta bagaimana masa depan industri batu bara tanah air? Ulasannya akan kami hadirkan dalam dialog Bunga Cinka bersama dengan Marketing Director Bayan Resources, David Low, Chief Operating Office Bayan Resources, Lim Chai Hock, serta Alexander Ery Wibowo, Direktur Bayan Resources berikut ini.
Tercatat, permintaan batu bara setiap tahunnya selalu meningkat. Terlebih dengan adanya krisis energi saat ini yang disebabkan oleh perang antara Rusia dan juga Ukraina. Bukan hanya konflik antar kedua negara tersebut saja, melainkan hal-hal permintaan batu bara semakin meningkat juga dikarenakan karena bahan bakar dari energi lainnya masih tergolong mahal. Salah satunya adalah gas, yang menjadi salah satu investasi untuk energi baru terbarukan. Nah, tentunya semakin bertambahnya permintaan untuk batu bara tersebut menjadi peluang bagi negara-negara pemasok batu bara. Salah satunya tentunya adalah Indonesia. Lantas bagaimana tantangan-tantangan yang harus dihadapi oleh industri pertambangan di Indonesia dan juga bagaimana sih masa depan dari industri pertambangan batu bara di Indonesia? Untuk mengetahui jawabannya, saya akan mengajak Anda untuk berbincang langsung dengan David Low, selaku Direktur Marketing dan Penjualan dari PT Bayan Resources, dan juga dengan Lim Chai Hock, serta Alexander Ery Wibowo, selaku Direktur dari PT Bayan Resources. Jangan kemana-mana, tetap di Mining Zone CNBC Indonesia. Okay, Mr. David, Bayan's performance, especially in the first semester of 2020, is really brilliant. You know, where the company revenue shot up to more than 95%, and the net profit jumped sharply to 180% year on year. So, what are the factors driving Bayan's performance, especially in this first semester of 2020?
I think one of the major contributor is our investment in terms of infrastructure. So because if you have gone to our site, you will see that we have been using huge hauling trucks in terms of efficiency and lowering down our costs. That's one of the contributor. And of course, the other contributor is actually because of the commodity prices that has been spiking up. Mainly due to the some of the natural expenses that's going on. So coupled with this too, that's why the revenue for the group has been spiking.
Okay, so what are the lines what are the business lines that are support Bayan's performance?
I think there's a couple of them. I mean, one of them is of course our contractors, which has been very supportive of us. Of course, it's a win-win situation. Not just the mining contractors, our barging contractors, and also in terms of our infrastructures. As you can see, we are building the 100-kilometer haul road that leads us to direct Mahakam as well. And most importantly, the infrastructures that the group has been building.
Okay, so their contribution to the company is really big, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, apart from the mine business line that are owned and supported by Bayan Performance, are there other business lines that are also part of Bayan business?
For now, I think Bayan is just purely on coal. Yeah. So apart from that, I think Bayan at the moment is not looking for any upstream or downstream because we are just purely focusing on coal, which is we think that's where we are and that's what we will focus. And again, we appreciate the employees that has been with us over the years. And so that's why we are able to progress, because we didn't focus just on coal.
Okay. Mr. David, the increase in the commodity prices, especially in the coal, has become a blessing for almost all coal companies, including Bayan, of course. And what is the strategy target and prepared by Bayan in semester 2022 and in the first semester of 2023 to take advantage of this boom in coal commodities to boost the company's performance?
So if you look back from Bayan, we actually have been preparing since 2016-17. We have been building the 69-kilometer haul road on site in Tabang especially. We have asphalted the roads. We have invested in equipments. Our contractors has bring in 230, 250 ton trucks. So in terms of efficiency, economies of scale, that's how we bring down our costs. And going forward, including the BCT, we have done our phase 4 expansion, which is additional 4 stockpiles. So the coal terminal now has 20 stockpiles. So at any point of time, we can stockpile more than 1.5 million tons of coal, which means that the coal is ever ready when the customer comes in. That cuts down our time, that cuts down customers' time, that cuts down demurrage as well. So that's how we improve the efficiency and in terms of revenue, and that's how we prepare ourselves going forward. Even we cannot control the market price of coal, but what we can do is control our costs.
Wow, okay. As is known, Bayan's capex budget reached $250 million. And can you explain what the use of capex is for and what's the impact it has on the company?
Okay, I think this is no secret. So Bayan's profit and revenue is all-time high, and 250 million, basically the capex is used for expansion in terms of infrastructure for the group. As I mentioned just now, mainly is for the 100-kilometer haul road, which leads us to direct Mahakam River. And at the jetty, we actually have built 3 new barge loader as well, so each rated at 4,000 ton an hour. That will enable us to do all year round barging. And on top of that, further expansion in terms of the Balikpapan coal terminal, as I mentioned just now, the 4 additional stockpiles. We're going to build additional mother berth loading vessels and 4 more barge unloader. So this is where the capex are going. So in terms of coal industry, I think coal is a commodity, which countries have abundance of it. But I think the company actually focus more on infrastructure play, because importantly is to get the coal to the terminal and to the customer, which is most important.
Okay, Mr. David, we all know that global is, have an energy crisis because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So is Bayan among those who get the blessing of this windfall? And then what about the target coal sales performance in the next year?
I think the energy crisis affect not just Bayan, but globally as well. So not just coal, in terms of LNG, natural gas as well. So we are affected one way or another, and I believe any other commodities or industrial players are all affected. So going forward, let's say 2023, we are working actively to try and secure as much as possible. But nevertheless, Bayan do have numerous long-term contracts that is already in running. And we usually planned about 3 to 5 years down the road. So assuming in terms of next year's 2023 to 2025, we have already secured more or less long-term contract between 40 to 50% of our production.
So is there any plan to export to the Europe?
Of course, there's plans across Europe. Customers-wise, especially for Europe, our minority shareholder, ex-minority shareholder is NL, so they used to hold 10% of our shares, and now we still do shipments to Europe as well. Yeah.
Okay, so are you optimistic?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what about the company's line of business expansion plans that are prepared to support the company's performance, both for the upstream and downstream sides?
So in terms of upstream-wise, I think we are looking at the contractors, which is basically the equipments. Now ordering of heavy equipments, we are looking at easily 1.5 years. For downstream wise, I think it's more on the infrastructure, which I've already mentioned. So as I explained just now, we have already actively been investing, and that's where the capex come about.
Mr. David, apart from the price volatility, what are the challenges faced by the coal industry, especially for Bayan?
I think the challenges held by coal would be, I mean, it's a global market trend, which is basically the renewable or sustainable green energy, So for which I think I did study a bit on that as well. The rationale is that for it to completely replace, I think the time is not right yet. Then that's why you see that the countries actually have energy crisis at the moment. So yes, in time it may come, but at the moment I think coal, personally I feel that it's still one of the cheapest form of energy around.
Yeah, okay, Mr. David, last question. So what are your projections regarding the future of the coal business? Like especially since we know the most countries in the world have started echoing and implementing the zero emission.
So coming back to that, I think we can see the trend is that the coal requirement or consumption is moving towards East Asia and developing countries. However, the developed countries are moving more on sustainable, renewable or green or net zero or carbon zero countries. But at the end of the day, again, it's the financial and economics that plays a big role. So I think the situation will come by where you will have a hybrid situation where there will still be a certain base load for coal or LNG powered plants, and then you will have the renewable power that's playing its role. So at the end of the day, you will still have a net-net because it's a hybrid situation. That's how I feel.
Okay, Mr. David, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
It's really nice to talking with you.
Thank you.
Pemirsa, itu dia tadi pembahasan kami bersama dengan Mr. David mengenai kinerja dari PT Bayan. Dan selanjutnya kita akan sama-sama membahas mengenai good mining practice dari PT Bayan. Jangan kemana-mana, tetap di CNBC Indonesia.